I feel like the Peace Rally was an exceptional showing for such a short amount of time. By the time that Sage was able to find the information that Westboro was coming to campus to the time that the Peace Rally happened was under about 12 hours.
Yeah.
So that's a really quick turnaround to get that many people mobilized, which is really impressive, especially for a student-led organization. That's almost unheard of on campus. The other thing that made the Peace Rally really special was the amount of community turnout. So even though it was held on campus and it was led by a student group, there was so much community support that was there. From Michael Rendon to the local pastors that spoke, to faculty, staff, small business owners were there. Many of the small business owners even came up to people at the rally and were offering, discounts at their restaurants afterwards. Everyone would come down and continue, kind of this feeling of unity, come downtown, share it with the rest of the community. So I think that that was something that made it a unique event and really special. As far as, the words that were spoken, I thought that Michael Rendon really came out and made a great speech and was very motivational, talking about the fact, one thing that I think he did a great job illustrating is this wasn't about one single event or one single group. This was about the idea of revolution and changing society and reconstructing society, because so often we think of our society as so equal, so unified, so progressive, that we really miss the underlying things that are going on, especially in media, especially when it comes to two of the biggest groups on our campus, the Native American community and the homosexual community. There's still real problems within those communities in mainstream society, and we think of ourselves as so progressive that it's not an issue for us. And I think what he really touched on is the fact that yes, women can vote, yes, there's freedom, yes, there's the idea of equality in our society, but we're still in the middle of a revolution, and this generation right here that's finishing college right now is going into the world leading this charge, leading this revolution against hate and for equality. I think that the motivation behind it really was to bring unity to the campus against one single issue, and the single issue was hate. I really do. Even though one thing that I've said quite often is that sometimes rallies and issues, they need a figurehead to come under. But just because you need the figurehead doesn't mean that the figurehead is the rally. So just because the rally was against Westboro, it was also tackling all of these issues, and I think that that was the intention. I think that what the reasoning behind the rally was to say, Westboro, you're not welcome, but the reason you're not welcome is because you're bringing hate onto our campus, and any kind of hate is not welcome on campus.
Any acts of discrimination that happened prior to the rally that you thought should have been brought up or were brought up at the rally?
I have to give Sage a lot of credit, because the more that you fuel a certain incident, the more power you give it. And I think one thing he did really well was just focusing on it not being a rally against hate, but it being a rally for unity. And I think that there's a lot of power in turning something negative into something that's solely positive. And I think that although, we could have gone into the nitty-gritty details of each different thing that was going on, what made that rally powerful was the fact that it wasn't against things, it was for something. It wasn't let's fight negativity with negativity. It was let's fight negativity with coming out and showing that this is what we are. Instead of defining yourself by what you're not, it really was a great way for Durango and for Fort Lewis to define ourselves as what we are. And I think that Sage did a very good job of not getting bogged down in the details of each and every little event, but really bringing the bigger picture to light and bringing the bigger unity to light and using the rally as something very, very positive. I think one thing that made student government a little bit unique this year is we are a very close-knit group with the rest of the student leaders on campus. Each and every RSO2 club president I can say I'm pretty close personal friends with. Most of the RSO1 presidents we're pretty close to, and the difference I think was that we didn't need our club presidents or our students coming to us and saying this is what's going on and this is what we need to bring up to student government, because each and every one of us, we were right in the middle of it. We were there. We were, with our student clubs. We were at the prison meetings. Most of our student government has been highly involved with all of the students who were overtly affected by this. And I'm sure, that's kind of stretching things, because there's always, students who have, issues that are going on that maybe we don't know about. But as far as the issues that were brought to our attention, they weren't brought to our attention because people came in and sat through our meetings and wanted to talk about them. They were brought to our attention because they were our close friends and we were watching them live it. I think one of the great things about the way that ASFLC works is when you elect your president and vice president, they have to run as a ticket. So that means that you're electing two people who have kind of the same ideals. And the things that Alray and I ran on were the core values of the Sacred Trust, school spirit, diversity, equality, and transparency. And even though he is not in the position anymore, I think that students, they vote for a person, but they also vote for an idea. And I think that the idea that we represented and those values that we represented are a big piece of what students voted for. And the fortunate thing is that although he is not here representing those values that the students voted for, I still have those same core values that the students wanted in a leader. That's still my agenda. My agenda is still equality, is still transparency, it's still, judicious management of student fees. But as far as actual set in stone goals, the three that Alray and I ran on were the Old Fort Task Force. We wanted to make sure that students were able to not only read the minutes of those, but also have a sitting position on those different boards that involve the Old Fort, and also working on a Native American advisor to the president, because we're one of the few schools that have a tuition waiver program that doesn't have a Native American advisor. We wanted to work on the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. That was one of our main goals. And the other one was school spirit. So the Gender and Resource Sexuality Center, obviously, with a lot of help from faculty, from President Thomas, from the group PRISM, we've gotten that accomplished this year as a campus community. School spirit, I think we've worked really hard towards that this year. We've had a really good turnout at a lot of our athletic games. And I really think the rally helped that a lot. I think it showed students, what it means to be a Skyhawk is not just showing up to basketball games. What it means to be a Skyhawk is believing in these values, believing in equality, believing in diversity, and being willing to stand up and say, this is not who we are. We're not hate on this campus.